Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Your phone was never designed for privacy. It was designed for convenience, for connectivity, for making your life easier by always knowing where you are so it can serve you better ads, better directions, better restaurant recommendations. Every app you've ever installed has asked for location permissions, and most of the time you just tapped allow without thinking about it because you wanted to use the app and the permission request was standing between you and whatever you were trying to do. That simple tap gave that app the ability to track your movements 24 hours a day, even when you're not actively using it, even when your screen is off, even when you think your phone is just sitting there doing nothing. And all of that location data, all of those precise GPS coordinates time-stamped down to the second, they're being stored, aggregated, and in some cases sold to data brokers who package it up and resell it to anyone willing to pay. Now, you might be thinking, so what? I'm not that interesting. Nobody cares where I go. And under normal circumstances, you'd be right. But we're not talking about normal circumstances. We're talking about what happens when the grid goes down, when law enforcement is overwhelmed or non-existent, when desperation turns neighbors into threats, and when the usual social contracts that keep people civil start to dissolve. In that scenario, the question isn't whether you're interesting. The question is whether you look vulnerable, whether you have something worth taking, and whether anyone can find you. And your phone, that device you've been carrying around broadcasting your location like a beacon, suddenly becomes the most dangerous thing you own. Here's how it actually works in practice, because this isn't theoretical. During civil unrest, during natural disasters, during any breakdown of normal order, criminal opportunists don't just wander around randomly hoping to find targets. They're smarter than that. They use technology. There are apps, some of them completely legal and available in any app store, that aggregate location data from social media, from photo metadata, from public check-ins, and display it on a map. You post a photo from vacation, you check in at a restaurant across town, you share your location in a group chat to meet up with friends, and all of that data is building a pattern. Someone looking at that pattern can see when you're home and when you're not. They can see that you leave for work at 7:30 every morning. They can see that you spent last weekend at the lake, which means you probably have a vehicle capable of getting there, which means you probably have fuel, which in a crisis is worth more than cash. But it gets worse, because even if you're careful about social media, even if you never post your location publicly, there are settings on your phone that are betraying you in ways you don't realize. The big one, the setting that almost nobody knows about and almost everybody has enabled, is called Location History on Android and Significant Locations on iPhone. This feature records every place you go, stores it in a database on your device and in the cloud, and uses that data to predict where you're likely to be at any given time. Google calls this your timeline. Apple buries it deep in the privacy settings. Both companies will tell you it's for your benefit, to give you better recommendations, to help you remember where you parked, to provide more accurate traffic predictions. What they don't emphasize is that data exists in a detailed, searchable, time-stamped format on servers that can be subpoenaed, hacked, or accessed by anyone with your login credentials or physical access to your unlocked device. Think about what that means in a collapse scenario. Someone breaks into your house while you're sheltering in place. They grab your phone. If it's unlocked or if they can guess your passcode, they now have a complete record of everywhere you've been for months or even years. They know where you shop, where you work, where your family lives, where you go when you evacuate. They know your patterns better than you do because the phone has been watching and learning the whole time. And if they're part of a larger group, that information gets shared. Suddenly, you're not just a random target, you're a mapped target, someone whose movements can be predicted and exploited. So here's the first thing you need to do right now, before anything happens, while you still have time to think clearly and act deliberately. Go into your phone settings and turn off location history completely. On an iPhone, go to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Location Services, scroll all the way to the bottom to System Services, tap Significant Locations, and turn it off. You'll need to authenticate with your passcode or biometrics. Once it's off, also scroll down and tap Clear History to delete everything that's already been recorded. On Android, open the Google app, tap your profile picture, go to Maps Timeline, tap the three dots in the upper right, select Settings and Privacy, and toggle off Location History. Then go back and delete your existing timeline data. This doesn't just pause the tracking, it erases the record. Do this for every device you own, every phone, every tablet, every account that might be syncing this data across platforms. But turning off location history is just the start, because your phone is still tracking you in a dozen other ways. Wi-Fi scanning is one of the biggest offenders that nobody talks about. Even when your Wi-Fi is turned off, most phones continue to scan for nearby networks in the background to speed up location detection and improve network connectivity. Every Wi-Fi router has a unique identifier called a MAC address, and your phone is constantly logging which routers it can see. This data gets sent back to Apple or Google, which maintain massive databases mapping every Wi-Fi router in the world to a specific geographic location. This is how your phone can tell where you are even when GPS is disabled. But here's the problem. That scanning works both ways. Someone with the right equipment, and we're talking about gear you can buy online for a few $100s, can detect your phone's Wi-Fi scanning activity from hundreds of feet away. They can see your device's unique MAC address, track when it comes and goes, and build a profile of your movements without you ever connecting to a network. To stop this, you need to disable Wi-Fi scanning completely, which is different from just turning off Wi-Fi. On iPhone, go to Settings, Privacy and Security, Location Services, System Services, and turn off Wi-Fi networking. On Android, go to Settings, Location, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth scanning, and disable both Wi-Fi scanning and Bluetooth scanning. Yes, this will make your location services slightly less accurate and your Wi-Fi connections slightly slower to establish, but in a crisis, you don't want accuracy, you want invisibility. Bluetooth is the same story. Your phone is constantly broadcasting Bluetooth signals looking for devices to pair with: headphones, speakers, car systems, smartwatches. Each of those broadcasts contains your device's unique identifier. And just like Wi-Fi, someone with a Bluetooth scanner can detect your presence from a significant distance. They can't see your name or your data, but they can see that a specific device is in range, and if they've logged that device before, they can track your movements over time. Turn off Bluetooth completely when you're not actively using it, and even when you are using it, be aware that you're making yourself visible. In a scenario where you're trying to remain undetected, Bluetooth is a liability you can't afford. Now let's talk about photo metadata, because this is where people incriminate themselves without realizing it. Every photo you take with your phone embeds hidden data called EXIF metadata, and unless you've specifically disabled it, that metadata includes the exact GPS coordinates where the photo was taken, the date and time, the type of device, sometimes even the direction the camera was facing. You take a picture of your food stockpile in your basement to send to a friend, and embedded in that image is your home address, down to the latitude and longitude. You post a photo of your new generator to a prepper forum to ask for advice, and anyone who downloads that image can extract the location data and know exactly where you live. Social media platforms usually strip this metadata when you upload, but not always. And any image shared directly through messaging apps, email, or file transfers retains all of its EXIF data intact. To disable location tagging on iPhone, go to Settings, Privacy and Security, Location Services, Camera, and set it to Never. On Android, open the Camera app, go to Settings, and look for Save Location or Location Tags and turn it off. And if you've already shared photos with location data embedded, there's no taking it back. That information is out there. So going forward, you need to be meticulous about this. Cell tower triangulation is another vector you can't completely eliminate, but you can mitigate. Your phone is always communicating with nearby cell towers, and your carrier logs which towers your device connects to and when. With data from just 3 towers, it's possible to triangulate your location within a few hundred feet, sometimes much more accurately in urban areas with dense tower coverage. Law enforcement uses this data routinely, but so do private investigators, skip tracers, and anyone else with the right tools or the right contacts in the telecom industry. In a collapse, if the cell network is still functioning, this data is still being generated.